Let's take a look at some of the presets that the sound designers from Ableton have come up with for Simpler. By looking at presets done by professionals, you can often learn a lot about the possibilities of a plugin. So I'm going to go to the Ambient and Evolving menu of presets for Simpler, and let's just get a device file here. Now you may notice that there are two file types in the preset menu, ADG and ADV. The .advs are the ADVs are Ableton device files. So if I double click on that, it's going to load up just the Simpler plugin with a sample already in it. If I were to double click on an ADG file, it's often presented as a set of macros, and if I click on these yellow circles to see the whole thing, you can see that it's in multi-sample mode, and a lot of the device groups are like that, but what really makes it a device group is the fact that it has effects built into it. For instance, this reverb plugin. Anything you see with a green dot here has been mapped to a macro. If I turn this on, you can see reverb has become active and these parameters have turned on, and this knob controls that plugin. So we're not going to mess around with device groups just yet. Instead, I'm going to stick to a single device. Here is the Ambient Swells preset. We can see it here in classic mode. It's got the morphing sort of filter here. It's got the frequency set at 596 Hertz with a little bit of resonance. It has an envelope set with a 600 millisecond decay, a full volume sustain, and an 8-second release. Let's hear what it sounds like. It's a sound with a lot of movement in it, and as you can see, it's continuing to play even after I let go of the keys because of that long release time. Now if we look at the controls, we can see the filter frequency there. I can go to the envelope and see the filter envelope. The LFO is on. Doesn't look like it's affecting anything at the moment, but it's ready to go if we need it. And the amplitude envelope has this very long release. There's a glide of 102 milliseconds, so if I go between two notes, you'll hear that. That kind of ring sound, that's the sound of glide. The sound designers have transposed this up 1/2 step and down 27 cents. There are 50 cents in a half step. It says 1 ST. That's between two adjacent piano keys, so like C to C sharp, or E to F, or F sharp to G, something like that. There is 73% spread, and the volume is dependent on the velocity here, which again we'll go over in another video. So that's an interesting preset, and the main thing that makes it work is this very interesting sample they have. Okay, let's take a look at another instrument in Simpler. Now we have this excellent grand piano preset, and when I click it, you can see it is a device group, but I wanted to highlight it because it's just such a great sounding piano simulation. I mean, you could probably hear that on an album, especially if it was like a background piano, and not know it's not a real piano. And it has the most salient controls included in the macros here, including a bright knob that would be sort of like an EQ knob, hardness, glue, which is a compressor, more or less reverb to make the sound wetter or drier. There are some envelope controls, attack and release, a tone knob, which appears to be a secondary EQ control besides bright. This could have something to do with overtones, I'm not 100% sure, and a primary volume control. Now if I click on these circles, you'll see that this is actually quite a complicated instrument. We have one chain here in the instrument chain, and we'll go over that in another video later. There's a velocity plugin hiding there, and that leads to another device also called grand piano, that has a bunch of devices with it. We have the utility device, we have EQ, glue compressor, and reverb. And as you can see, the most important controls for these plugins are mapped to these macros. All right, now let's see the instrument and chain for this. This is in multi-sample mode. In multi-sampler mode in Simpler, you can't see the individual samples. However, you can see over here in the chain that there are in fact many grand piano samples included. Each one of these is a separate Simpler plugin, and they're all mapped together into multi-sample mode. Now, if I click on one of these and then I go over to the instrument and I right-click, I have some options here. I can change this to a sampler plugin, and then I can see and manipulate the sample, and we're going to take a look at sampler in another video soon. But I just want to highlight that this plugin, even though Simpler is the simpler sampler, you can use Simpler in complex ways, and that's not very simple.